Welcome back to the Snow Family Racing Garage. Today, we're doing a little bit of tuning as the weather cools down. We need to adjust the choke on the Riviera. Now, this is consistent with the Carter AFBs, the Quadrajets, even some of the Hollys had a choke mechanism very similar to this. So all the same rules apply. The parts may just be in a slightly different location, but that's okay. Let's pop the hood. I've got the air cleaner off already. It just looks better with the hood closed. Wouldn't you agree? America's most beautiful car after all. Anyways, let's get into this and I'll show you what's going on. Welcome to the underhood of the 1965 Riviera. Let's go over the carburetor anatomy just a little bit. Over on this side, you have the choke. This one has an electric choke. This is a bimetallic strip. I don't believe this is factory, but it's one we've put in there and it does work well. So, you know, we're just going to go with it. Now, you have on this side over here, you have your main idle mixture, idle speed screw right there. Those are your idle mixtures. When I'm looking at parts, it's easy to say the wrong thing. Now, this is a little funny because the choke idle speed is right here underneath. It's a little hard to get to. Some carbs, it's on the side with the rest of the idle speeds. On Q-Jets, it's over here on the choke side. So just beware that the parts are all kind of the same. They may just be in slightly different locations. The way to tell is with the choke closed, take a look at your idle speed screws, and if your hot idle speed screw isn't touching the throttle shaft, that means it's being held up by the choke idle speed. So let's look at what we got and see what we're doing. So the main concern on this one is that the idle speed is way up when it's on the choke, but the choke comes off so fast that it drops it to the warm idle before it's warm enough to support that idle. You know, there's some tuning in there that we could do with the idle mixture screws to help that, but typically in this kind of application, the choke was there for a reason. Let's get it set up so that way it works correctly. Get the idle speed down a little bit, and then make sure the choke stays on just a little bit longer. Okay? Let's do that. So here's the bimetallic strip that's inside the electric choke. You can see the little foot that it's got, and it's meant to contact this little arm, and when it rotates it forward, the choke butterflies are closed. And when it goes backwards, it sets the choke off and takes it off the cold idle and those kinds of things. So we need to make sure that it's going to, we need a little bit more choke than what we had. There's a Sharpie mark there for a reference as to where it was. And then as it warms up, the bimetallic strip warms up and it lets the choke open up. A lot of carburetors have these really nice hash marks on the casting. What that lets you do is if it doesn't have a mark on it, you can make a mark with a Sharpie or other marking implement, and you can dial it up a little bit at a time until you get it to where you're happy with it. So this one was about here. Trust me, I screwed up on the Sharpie mark. But I'm going to give it a couple more notches of choke, probably something about there. We can always add more, but it's always inconvenient when the choke doesn't come off. So let's tighten this back down with the little wing nuts. Pardon the background noise, but that's just kind of how you do it. So I've got it running. I like how long it's staying on, and I've been able to slowly adjust the cold idle speed as it's running. So I'm able to get it right where I want it. Now granted, it's warming up, and when you're doing cold tuning, you only get about one shot at it a day, so it can take a little bit of time to get it where you want it, but that's okay. So I'm watching the choke, waiting for it to come off completely, and then we'll set the hot idle again. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area. If you're in the garage, open the windows because, when it's cold and you're playing with the choke, it's richer. It'll get to you if you're not careful. So I got the doors open. That's why the lighting's a little funny at the moment, but that's okay. So the choke came off. You give it a little bit of a blip of the throttle because as you're driving it, you're not just letting it sit there and da-da-da-da-da-da. So like you're pulling away from a light, that actuation of the throttle will fully remove the choke from use as the bimetallic strip warms up. So I went through, double checked everything, Made a minor tweak to the hot idle because it was just a little bit lower than I wanted it to. And you saw that when I explained where the hot idle was. That one's easy to get to. The other one, I have to use a very small 1/4-inch wrench, which this is not it. I have a 1/4-inch wrench around here somewhere. Here it is. This is what I needed to get at the cold idle speed, hanging on the bottom, little tiny bits at a time. But that's okay. I went through, I just made sure I checked the tightness of the choke to the carburetor body, because if that's loose, you're never going to get it right and you're going to be chasing your tail. So guys, setting the choke and the cold idle speed on your carburetor really isn't that hard. It takes a little bit of patience because you're going to have to try it a few times before you get to exactly where you're happy with it, but that's okay. We like playing with our cars. Anyways, thanks guys. We'll catch you later. Make sure you follow for more fun stuff, especially with the Riviera. I got a lot more things coming, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.